Today we will be comparing these three drum machines. We've got the Roland TR-6S, the Arturia Drumbrute Impact, as well as the PO-12 by Teenage Engineering. You're getting my impression of these three drum machines, and I think that all three of them are cool, but for different reasons. We'll be comparing their physical design, how they actually sound, performance workflow, exporting options, as well as the price. Today's sponsor is DistroKid. They are a music distribution company, and they have a bunch of new features to help promote your music that you might not know about. I'm going to be showing you their Wheel of Playlist feature, which literally allows you to instantly get your music on DistroKid Wheel of Playlist, which is a Spotify playlist. This is not a joke, it's instant, and I actually did it earlier this week. I'll show you how to do it later in this video. Alright, so let's check out these drum machines. So we'll start by getting the prices out of the way. The PO-12 Rhythm is the least expensive at $59 on Perfect Circuit. Up from that is the Drumbrute Impact, which is $299, and the TR-6S is $409. If you're interested in buying any of these, I've actually left a Perfect Circuit affiliate link in the description, meaning that I would make a small commission off of that sale, and it's just a great way to support this channel.
Okay.
As you would expect, the prices reflect the complexity as well as flexibility of each of these instruments. The PO-12 is obviously the most limited of these three instruments, but it still sounds pretty f***ing good. Definitely my favorite pocket operator. I'm an OG kind of guy.
2016, what?
The Drumbrute Impact is also quite simple and very hands-on. Everything is just right there in front of you. The TR-6S has the most features by far, but the trade-off for that for such a small instrument is that you're gonna have to menu dive quite a bit, which can be a turn-off for some people. If you're more of a sequence it beforehand type person, then voila, the TR-6S is great for you. Let's take a quick look at design. The PO-12 and any other pocket operator has the simplest design. There's 23 buttons on this whole thing, as well as 2 knobs. Simple design makes for a simple workflow, and that's exactly what you get with the PO-12. I mean, it's tiny. It fits into your pocket, hence the name of the machine. Very fragile, so you'll most likely need a case for it, like I have here. This one's directly from Teenage Engineering. I also bought a really slick triple PO case from Analog Cases, which also works perfectly if you're going to be traveling with your pocket operators. The Drumbrute Impact is the biggest of these three machines. That's kind of how it is though for machines that are a bit more hands-on. You just need more space to get to your knobs, more space for the knobs themselves. It's still quite a bit smaller than the OG Drumbrute, so that's something. There are no faders, it's just knobs, unlike the TR-6S. Personally, I would actually prefer faders, but the knobs are very easy and smooth to work with. The pads are also very soft and feel good. The TR-6S is just much more compact in general. There's actually less buttons than on the Drumbrute Impact, but pretty much all of these buttons have multiple functions to them. You're not really gonna be like performing things live as much as you are with the Drumbrute Impact. I mean, you can still perform with it, but it's just a lot more sequency. So how do each of these machines sound on their own? Let's run through some of these pocket operator sounds individually. PO-12, you're limited to these sounds. That's all you get. Here's an idea of what a full beat sounds like. You could also add effects to this beat by holding down effects and pressing 1 through 16. Okay, so what about the Drumbrute Impact? This is an analog drum machine, so there's a certain depth to the sounds, especially in the low end, that the TR-6S and the PO-12 don't really have. A lot more to choose from, but still you're limited to the world of the Drumbrute Impact. In terms of internal effects, you have distortion, and that is all. I like to keep it around 70–75%. That's like the sweet spot for me. As for the TR-6S, in terms of sonic variety, it blows the other two out of the park completely. It's limitless because you're able to program your own samples into the instrument. It's the only one of these machines that stems outside of the drumming and percussion world because you're able to upload melodic samples into here as well, full-on riffs, longer samples, anything you want. But we'll be sticking to the drumming aspect for this video. Here's a groove that I've programmed into the TR-6S. We could very easily scroll onto other classic TR drum kits as well. Let's say the TR-909 for the same groove. There are a ton of presets in here as well to choose from. You could change individual drum sounds within the kit as well, so if you want to combine kits, that's an option too. It's also much more expansive in terms of effects. Let's look at some workflow aspects starting with the PO-12. The PO kind of just is what it is in terms of workflow. That being said, it's also the fastest out of these three. In fact, let me put together a beat for you guys. You could program up to 16 one-bar patterns, so yeah, it is a little bit limited. If you sequence too many notes, your drums are just going to start falling out of the pattern. It can only handle so much. So like I said, if you like a really easy, simple workflow, this is your guy. And it has its place too. It's $60, so it makes for a great entry-level drum machine or synth. There is no fill feature per se with the PO-12, but you're able to add effects, which I guess kind of acts as a fill. Let's check it out. Like, that's a fill. Some of them are... There you go, that's a fill. The Drumbrute Impact is also a very simple and hands-on workflow. There are 16 patterns and 4 banks. Each pattern can be up to 4 bars long, so you have lots of space for a set. You could drop out or solo individual instruments very easily. Easy access to decay, pitch, as well as volume control for each individual instrument. This is the only drum machine of the three that's able to record unquantized parts into your sequences with this button right here, unquantized. And of course, there's no problem to sequence a beat fully quantized. It's just nice to have that option to go either or. The fill feature on the Drumbrute Impact is extremely easy to use and my favorite function on the instrument. There's an option of soloing individual instruments and making them fill. It gets really intense, so we're gonna choose kick, current track. Let's do it. It's so awesome. Or if you want, you could take off current track and have every single instrument fill at the same time. When you turn this knob way up, it literally sounds like a drum solo. Check it out. That's something that I like to do spontaneously at the end of phrases. And it's right there. Doop, fill. I would argue that the Drumbrute Impact is actually a stronger performance instrument than the TR-6S for reasons like this. If I was to turn up the fill knob over a riff, it would be a different fill every single time that we played through it. We'll do 2-bar phrases. It's all just right there in front of you, immediate and in your control. And then there's the TR-6S. It's got 16 patterns and 8 banks. Each pattern can be up to 8 bars long, so there's tons of space there. No surprise that once again, the TR-6S is the most flexible in terms of performance features. It's just the menu diving that might take you out of it if that's not your jam. You're able to add effects to individual notes within your sequence. So in the case of this beat, I have a simple kick and snare. We're currently on the snare drum, and I'm adding a saturator to just the snare drum. Let's go over to drive, blast it. There's also like an endless amount of effects to choose from. High pass filter, low pass, high pass, low pass, high boost, on and on and on. Drive, crusher, frequency shift. you get the point. Another cool workflow thing with the TR-6S is that you could use it as like more of a DJ tool. If you want, you could upload full-on loops to each of these faders, affect them, and use the faders to bring them in and out during your set. There is one downfall with the TR-6S and pretty much all of the classic TR drum machines. You're not able to unquantize your beats. Everything is tight and to the grid. There's also a fill-in trigger here on the TR-6S. It's not quite as fluid and random as the Drumbrute Impact. There is another important topic to bring up. Outputs, and this could actually be a game changer for some of you. The PO-12 exports as you hear it, so there's not really much to say about that there. Like, you can't separate individual drums onto different stems bouncing into your DAW. Unfortunately. The Drumbrute Impact, however, is the winner in this department. It's got 5 outputs: kick, snare, hi-hats, FM drum, and mix output for a full mix if you prefer that. Why is this awesome? Having an analog drum machine with individual stems for your drum mix is a game changer, and it really opens things up, especially if you're into sample making and combining gear to make your sounds more original. You obviously have the freedom of adding external effects to your outputs. This is the microcosm, which I've covered in other videos, by the way, like this one. Let's hear it with the Drumbrute Impact. The TR-6S is able to bounce to individual outs, but only via USB, which is the most convenient way to do it. But it just means that you can't add external effects to it, unless there's another way of doing it that I just don't know about, in which case, comments. It's kind of potato because at this point you could just use plugins on individual stems to get the same or better results. But the microcosm. Also, if you wanted to perform with the TR-6S at a live set with external effects, you'd have to bring in your laptop, which is kind of a bummer to bring on stage. Okay, so we've covered a lot here. Let's give a quick recap here. So the Pocket Operator, this is the cheapest and simplest drum machine by far. It's also the quickest workflow. At the same time, the most limited workflow, but it does make for a great gateway into synths and drum machines. The Drumbrute Impact is an analog drum machine. It sounds great. It also has a really simple workflow and is very hands-on, geared towards live performance combining with other instruments. In my opinion, it has the best exporting options because you're able to add external effects to individual drums. The TR-6S is a compact little beast. In terms of workflow and features, it's by far the most flexible, but where you lose flexibility is in actual hands-on live performing. It's the only drum machine that you're able to sample with and is also equipped with all of Roland's TR vintage classic drum sounds. It's very portable. I also forgot to mention that it's battery powered, so you could carry it around on its own. It still works. Now let's talk about that DistroKid feature that I mentioned earlier in the video. If you're looking to distribute your own music, the starting price is $20 a year to release unlimited music on all major streaming platforms. They've become a lot more than just a distribution company though. They offer a lot of free promotional tools to members. Let's talk about Wheel of Playlist, which is a way to instantly get your music onto a DistroKid Spotify playlist. This is not a joke, like instantly. Head to your homepage, get heard now, Wheel of Playlist. Pick the song that you want to add to a DistroKid Spotify playlist. Roll 3 numbers. That is all. You are now on a DistroKid Spotify playlist. Until someone rolls the same number of you, in which case you get bumped off the playlist, so however long that takes. I guess that's like the trade-off, but it's still worth a spin, no? If you're interested in becoming a member, make sure to check out the link in my description. It's a 7% discount link on your first year. Hopefully this helped you guys out and you're coming away with more insight on any of these drum machines. I always like to check out comparison videos, especially when I'm looking at new machines to purchase. It's always tricky to land on an instrument that works with the machines that you already have. Or maybe this is like the first hardware instrument that you're interested in which case, glad to help you out. It's exciting, eh? I invite you to subscribe to this channel if you're into this sort of content, like, share, comment. That all really helps this channel grow, one baby step at a time. You guys are greatly appreciated. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video, and we're done here.